I know last week I said it was the end of summer tour. However, it is still 85 today. And I looked at the 10-day forecast. It's gonna be in the 80s, upper 70s, still the 80s, and the lows are only getting to the 50s. So I'm gonna leave some of the zinnias and tomatoes that are still growing and producing, I'm gonna leave them alone. However, I'm gonna show you how we can start turning over our beds to start a fall garden, or just to even prepare it for the winter. We never wanna leave bare soil because then it will dry out, and that's just not what we want for the winter. So we're gonna plant some things today. I know it's October. We're gonna plant some things. And you can plant things whether or not you even plan on harvesting them. But it's going to be even better for your soil and for your garden next year. So I'm gonna show you kind of how to turn that over and get started on what you can do in your garden in October. You can see here, I still have so many of these little spoon tomatoes, and I have a ton that are still green. So this particular plant, I am not going to take out yet. I'm gonna continue to let this one go. Anything that's starting to rot off will just fall to the garden, or I will feed it to the chickens, but I'm just gonna continue with whatever blessings it wants to bless us with. And we'll just continue that. But I will probably get ready to take out a lot of these tomatillos and show you other things that we can plant over here. So a few things that I'm bringing with me while I kind of do this in the garden is a bucket so that I can continue to harvest any tomatoes or peppers or tomatillos, but also Ziploc bags and a permanent marker so that as I'm taking things out, I can save some of these seeds. Well, there we go. And I mean, these are free plants, and I really loved this variety. So I'm gonna plant a whole bunch of them next year, and we'll see. These should all grow. These are very easy to save seeds for zinnias. I'm gonna leave this, why can't I ever remember the name? This is a dahlia. I'm gonna leave the dahlia here, and it never bloomed. And it might still though, we still have time. So I'm gonna leave it and see what happens, and if it doesn't bloom by the first frost and it starts to die back, then we will dig up the tubers and save them for next year. So we will just right. Here we go. Queen lime. Sorry, I have the cap in my mouth. Wow, that is like just the worst handwriting. I'm sweaty. Okay. But anyways, the only thing I really need to do with this right now is I'm just gonna cut this off. And I'm just gonna stick the whole head in here, and we can use these seeds for next year. Some of these zinnias are so old and they are just ready to go. They're even just breaking off here. You can kind of see. So they are covered in powdery mildew. They're starting to look real decrepit. But some of the flowers still, that one's not great. But you can see I saved these two. And I'll save these to put in the last bouquet to put on our table. So you can kind of do as you will. Okay, so I'm starting to stockpile. A lot of this was tomatillos and some of this was zinnias. And we are getting still some fruit. But I wanted to show you guys something. I've cut out a lot of it. But when it comes to this part, so this is the part of the tomato plant that's left. And this was the tomatillo. Look how thick that is. And I've cut all the branches off. And look at these little, look at all those tiny little rare. Those would have all been like little roots. But anyways, you could pull this up, but it's so much better for your garden if you just snip it at soil level. Oh my gosh, if I can. This is thick. Because what that's going to do is the roots are going to slowly decompose over time, making your soil much more nutrient. Oh, there we go. And also it leaves room in there, so it like aerates the soil still. So by the time you want to come plant in the springtime. Like, this is all gonna be composted, and it's gonna be light and fluffy and roomy from the roots, and you're just gonna you're never gonna regret not taking all this stuff out of the dirt. Just cutting it at the soil level is all you need to do. This basil, a lot of it's gone to seed, but I'm just gonna snip it off still and just keep letting it grow because it's gonna be in the 80s, and I'm gonna harvest a bunch of this lettuce leaf basil. That way I can dry some for herbs and probably just use a bunch to make pesto, and freeze it is always a good way to preserve that flavor. So I can do that by just going in here with my scissors and just cutting the flowers off. And I'm not sure, oh, there's that one. And that way it will just continue to produce the leaves, more stems will grow, and I've already shown you my video on how to get bigger basil. So this is just what we do, and I can even harvest these little pieces and use them for dinner tonight. So now we have options for what we want to do. I've already cleaned out half of this bed. You can see this half's kind of busy still, but this half is mostly bare. And I just left this marigold here because it's still doing pretty well. I left this dahlia, and I cut down the basil, but I left it so that it will continue to grow until it starts to frost. So now I have all this bare soil. I can do a couple different things. I don't want to leave it bare, so I could just mulch it. You could mulch with compost. I always save my grass clippings. So this is what I've been mulching our gardens with. That way it breaks down fast. It's free. Hello. And it really helps control the moisture level in the soil so that the sun doesn't evaporate all the water. So it's really been doing a great job of having me not having to water all the time. So you can just mulch, but you could also plant your fall garden. I have several plugs of beets. Some of this is chard, and some of these are cabbages and kale. And so I'm probably gonna plant a few plugs in here and see how that goes. But also, if you just want to plant, I have, this is daikon radish, but you can do other types of radishes or turnips or other cold tolerant plants, but especially ones that grow dirt. I'm sorry, that don't grow dirt, that grow in the dirt. And what I mean is like root crops. So I'm just going to sprinkle some of these throughout. And then I'm going to top with just a little bit of soil I have left over. I'm not worried about my spacing because survival of the fittest. I'm not actually growing these to harvest. I'm growing these to help with my soil structure, to help with the aeration. And then as they grow, they will also, you know, once they frost and if they die, they will decompose and compost into the soil as well, being awesome food for worms. So I'm just going to take these are daikon radish seeds, and kind of just sprinkle them throughout. And I may top with a little bit more soil, that way I can make sure they're covered. And I'm going to top with more of this grass, dead grass, and then we'll just continue to water like the garden, and we'll kind of watch how these just grow and kind of help our soil structure. I'm also going to plant a few of my plugs in here because my plan is to take plastic and drape it over the top of this trellis, and then on the other side too, to make almost a cold frame for these beds so I can get some stuff planted in there. So that is my recommendation for you. Let me stand up here. You can see how this is like what it used to look like, and now it's much more bare. And so we are prepping it for our spring garden by planting. You can also plant other things as far as like rye or buckwheat, but the only issues with those are if they do go to seed, then they may self-seed, and then you will have that growing next year. What's great about growing radishes or beets or whatnot is they're not gonna be able to seed in the amount of time that's left in the year. So by the next year, you can just mulch them back in. Okay, so now everything's been planted in this little section of 2x4 area. So we'll see how everything grows. We got some kale, We got some Swiss chard. And then I also planted several, I just kind of scattered them, of the daikon radish. We have plenty more to go. I still have plenty more harvesting. We saved some stuff for the bunnies, some seeds from the zinnias, some flowers I'm gonna go put in water because they're still so beautiful. And then this will go ahead and give all of this to the chickens. See, nothing ever goes to waste. Now we just have 4 more beds to go. Yeah, with the chickens. Here we go. You gonna give the rabbits a treat?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are those? Marigolds and basil.
Yeah.
Oh, Homer. Watch out, Homer. Oh, we're stuck. Okay. Come in here. All right, go give it to him.
But where's the girl bunny?
Penelope?
Yeah.
Is she hiding behind?
Yes.
She's over there?
Yes.
All right, give it to Homer.
Homer's like, this is all for me, not for Penelope.
Not for Penelope?
Me.
You think he'll share?
I don't think so, because Homer just eats everything.
Homer loves basil. Okay, you're so silly. Oh, look, there's Penelope. See? She's coming.
Oh, is he going to eat it?
Yeah, she likes the
Homer's
marigolds.
like, you take the rest.
Oh, what a gentleman.
And Homer's just eating that.
Yeah, can you close it? What about the chickens? They're puzzled, but they'll devour that soon. All right, thanks.
Wait, are they starting to eat it?
See, we'll soon. Our giant mulch pile.
What?
All right, let's go, boys. Let's get out of here. So now we are on day 2 of cleaning up our garden, and I've only got this section done now. So I have 1 box done. Now I'm over here, and I've already harvested a ton of tomatoes and peppers, and I did grow some hot peppers this year, so I am gonna be probably very pleasantly surprised when I eat some of these, because I don't really like super hot things. So we'll probably dehydrate them, and then they taste so good when you sprinkle them on pizza. And then I'm just clipping my basil still, and this is all gonna go to our rabbits. So we're on number 2. Look what I just found. Look how disgusting this is. I mean, these tomatoes, I'm sure like I wouldn't even have to go through and save the seeds. Like I could probably just save whatever seeds are in here because they've already fermented. But, you know, just give yourself grace in the garden, because at the end of the summer, you're just tired. You're so tired. Look at that guy. And I'm trying to get all this done because I want to put out the rest of my Halloween decorations and clean up my yard. This is what happens when you have kids. It's fine. Plenty of marigolds though. If you need marigolds, stop on by. Okay, good morning guys. It is day 3 of getting this garden into fall prep and winter prep. And I know that I say it's day 3, but I really only worked on it like an hour maybe yesterday, and I got 3 of my other boxes done, and now I'm on my last box. But I thought this was really cool. I'm gonna kind of switch the camera around, or I'll just stop it. So I took out, there's tomatoes along this whole row, and there's tomatoes along this whole row. And so it had really kind of taken over. But it's really cool how like I'm looking in here and there's really no weeds. This is the first year I gardened where I did not have to sit there and pull, oh, there's a Frisbee though. Where I did not have to go and pull weeds. My first several gardens were overtaken by weeds, but this time I planted intensively. So I planted close together. I planted lots of things along with my tomatoes. You can see how big my basil got here. This is mullein, so I knew it's a biennial, so next year it will actually grow very tall, like 5-foot spikes and flowers. And then this is all like lemon balm. These were asters, a giant marigold. And then I've got my zinnias, obviously, and How beautiful are those cosmos? Like, a little late to the party, guys, but thank you for finally blooming. Those are really pretty. And then I still have obviously some dahlias in there. And so just a good idea when you're planting your garden. I like to plant a lot of diversity because I also did not have one tomato hornworm this year. And I just think that's pretty remarkable. I had hardly any pests. Okay, I did have pests for my squash, and that's a whole nother story. But also, I didn't plant anything with them. I just planted them over there, and I didn't plant like anything with them to deter those pests. So, but you know, you live and you learn. That will be next year. So I just wanted to show you that real quick, and we're almost done getting everything tidied up for the year. And I'm gonna plant the rest of my cabbages, beets, kale, etc., and just see how it goes. I am going through planting all of the rest of my cabbages and my beets and my other things that I am a little delayed in planting. But I wanted to show you when I told you earlier that if you don't have fall starts and you don't really want to plant a fall garden, but you should go ahead and plant some like radishes or root vegetables, especially like daikon radish, because it's huge when it grows, and that will like aerate the soil and it will help it kind of remain fluffy. That's what I want to say. Hey, I'm not a specialist here, but I wanted to show you what happens because I planted radishes at the beginning of the year, or let's say at the beginning of the season, and I never harvested them, and I just let them grow. And this is kind of what you guys will do, or what you can do. Just let them grow. These will not be harvested. You can, but you don't really need to. And you will just let them grow. Then eventually the frost will kill them, and then they can decompose and compost into your soil and add nutrients and food for the worms, etc., etc. But I'm going to show you, see these radishes right here? Like, I have not, look at them. It's almost a great Halloween decoration now. It's like petrified. But this is what I'm talking about. Like these little guys, but they're sitting here and it's super fluffy now in here because they have like aerated. And then when you try and get some of that soil off, I'm gonna go give these to the rabbits. They will be so appreciative. Look at that guy, he didn't even grow. What a sad excuse for a radish. But anyways, that's just kind of what you can do. I just wanted to give you like, I'll show you what it looks like when I'm actually doing it this winter. But this is kind of a little representation of what it will kind of be like. So let's finish planting. I am almost done. You guys, I can't believe it. I am done. I am finished. And that is really hard for me sometimes to actually finish something in the garden. Did I do it 100% correctly? Definitely not. I wing it a lot. But I do want to show you, I'm pretty thrilled, and I'm hoping, you know, things work out. But I do want to show you how I have some of the fall garden growing and what my expectations are. And, well, yeah, so we'll just kind of see there. And I'll also show you maybe some of our spooky Halloween decorations we have coming. They're not that spooky, but I mean, I get a kick out of them. My kids still don't really get it, but it's fine. So let me turn this around and show you how I finished. There's still some tomato plants that eventually will need to come out. Same with the zinnias, but it's still upper 70s today. And for the next 10 days, it's going to be in the upper 70s, lower 80s here in Southwest Michigan. And Michigan, I'm in Missouri. Where am I? It's just my mom brain. So anyways, yes, so that's where I am in Michigan. I'm in Missouri, Southwest Missouri. So it's gonna be warm here for quite a while, and I'm just gonna let the tomatoes keep going because we keep getting all these little babies like this, and I'm not ready for them to stop. because come winter months, I don't ever buy tomatoes from the store. I just can't do it. But okay, let me show you. So here's my first bed. A lot of these have already taken. I've got cabbages, I've got ragged jack kale, I've got some Swiss chard. I did plant a couple little things amongst here because I know eventually these spoon tomatoes are going to leave, and so are the marigolds. But I figure, why not? Let's just use the space. So I still have my dahlia, still have my basil growing because, like I said, it's still very warm. And then here I've also put a couple little, that's a bok choy. These are cabbages. And I'm not sure what that is. I think it's a cabbage because I didn't grow any lettuce. I'm just not a huge lettuce eater. I'm a microgreens eater, but not lettuce. So again, like I do still have like the pepper plant. This is a tamarillo. I try to grow this every year and it doesn't ever like grow until the end when it's about to frost. So I might dig that up and put that in the garage and see if I can save it until next year. But eventually I'll clip these peppers at the base. I don't need to yet. I planted a bunch of, I think that is, oh, I can't even think of what it's called right now. Oh, tatsoi. That's tatsoi. There's beets. Again, some peppers. A bunch of dahlias still. Several zinnias. I left a lot of these ones up because they're still flowering. And the painted butterflies are still really enjoying them. So I figure they're not hurting anybody. There's Swiss chard in there. Some of them look wilted a little bit because I just planted them. But it's fine. They'll bounce back. This is our trellis. I'm leaving all this stuff up here. It's kind of going to give me the aesthetic of my spooky garden for this Halloween. And also it just leaves stuff for the other animals and bugs and stuff too. So just like a little bit of things here. Cabbage. And then I mulched it all really heavily with the rest of my dried up grass clippings. So as you can see, it doesn't look like I took a lot out, but I really did. I took a whole lot out, especially from this bed. I took out all the tomatoes, a good chunk of the zinnias. I left this bunch. I left all the basil because I'm still waiting for the seeds to dry out, but I want to make basil salt, so I'm going to leave those. The marigolds. I have so many marigold seeds. What else do I have here? The mullein. Okay, and see, this is actually a pretty empty area here. I got all my lemon balm. So, this is exciting. What I did was I did poke some holes and I planted beets and I planted some mizuna and chard and I don't even know what else. But then, like I was telling you earlier about growing root vegetables or radishes or whatnot to help, you know, loosen the soil and build the structure of the soil over the fall and winter, I just scattered seeds everywhere. So I have lots of packets of radishes that I got from a seed swap in February. So I just sprinkled them. And then I did top with a bunch of the grass, not even dirt really. And you don't have to be particular with planting things sometimes. Look at our mums. Isn't that a little spooky? My cauldrons. I like the way they look, however, because they're tilted, they are not very good at retaining water. So that's probably why somebody was getting rid of them. But I just wanted to show you something really cool. Sometimes people don't garden because they think they don't have a green thumb, etc., etc. So 3 days ago, I was showing you guys at the beginning of this video when I planted these guys out here. And then I threw, sorry, I'm having like allergies, daikon radish seeds out here. I didn't even plant them. I just threw them out here and look. Let's see. Do you see all those little seedlings growing? I couldn't believe it. This radish grows so fast, and I didn't even have to do anything. Look at those. And they're popping up everywhere, like underneath this dahlia. So literally just throw your seeds out there, and you know, there's a good chance that they'll survive, and then you can call yourself a gardener. Okay, so now as far as my spooky decorations go, I have lights on here, and I'll show you a little clip of what they look like at night. It looks really pretty. I think I'll have to have lights up here year round. Maybe not orange, but it just really brings the garden together. But I have my little cauldrons with my mums. I have my spooky tarantula. I'm gonna probably hang some more spiders. What other spooky things? I'm leaving the sunflowers. I think they look pretty good like that, but it looks like they're gonna have some really nice seeds to harvest. I made these signs. I was kind of going for a farmhouse rustic cemetery, and I don't know, my kids probably would have just rather had the tombstones from the dollar store, but I just like to make things myself. So rest in peas. I got little peas everywhere and some fake moss. And this is not where I'm gonna keep them, but this is where they are right now. And then I also have, oh, poor Tom A. Toe. He was sliced too soon. Do you see some of my detail work? I don't know, I think they look cute. I'm happy with them. I don't like things to be too spooky. I have another little hanging cauldron right there. I'm gonna put some flowers in. And then I've got some of my floating witches hats. And then this has some green lights on it. I've got some spiders hanging. And there's another spider web right here. And then I've got this spider web right here. And gosh, I think we're just mostly getting spider webs. But I do want to put up some ghosts and some skull sunflowers. And then we'll see how the rest of this place looks after that. So that sums it up. That sums up getting things ready for our fall garden, getting most of it prepped, getting a lot of the stuff out, composting it or giving it to the rabbits and chickens, and still trying to harvest the last little bits of our summer season. I'm gonna go through and harvest a bunch more of our herbs. I have oregano that I need to take and dry, and I have so much basil. So I'm really gonna start probably making some basil salt for Christmas presents. And also it makes a really good salt scrub. So maybe, or a sugar scrub, I don't know. So we'll see. But anyways, so thanks for hanging out with us. I hope that you guys are working on your fall gardens. As always, if you could subscribe, I greatly appreciate it. I'd love to try and put out more content on what we're doing and growing, and it just takes a lot of work to do that. So the more you subscribe, the more you'll get notifications, and the more motivated I will be to continue to put out content. Thanks so much again, and I will let you know when we are getting ready for our first frost, and I will show you how I protect a lot of these plants from hard freezes, or how I'm going to. We'll see. Thanks. See ya.